Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou was not supposed to go the way that it went. Now, that doesn't mean I feel any type of way about the outcome of the fight. I'm simply saying that all experts, even casuals, doesn't matter who you were, unless you were literally Mike Tyson or Francis Ngannou's mom, nobody really thought that Francis Ngannou had a legitimate chance at winning that fight outside of landing some sort of lucky knockout punch. I mean, that's literally how the fight was sold to us. You have this era's greatest heavyweight in Tyson Fury versus MMA's most fearsome striker in Francis Ngannou, a man who stepped away from his own heavyweight crown to pursue more lucrative fights and contracts. All seemed to be going according to plan up until about the third round, when, as we all know, Francis Ngannou landed that left hook that dropped Tyson Fury. That was the obviously most exciting part of that fight, and the fight on its own merit wasn't super exciting. Neither of the guys were throwing tons of punches. The biggest aspect of it was that Francis Ngannou was frustrating Tyson Fury, making him look bad, and actually giving him a run for his money. When the bell for the 10th round sounded and it went to the decision scorecard, I personally thought that it could have went either way. I thought that Francis Ngannou was very impressive, and I just came to realize that he's an exceptional fighter and an exceptional human being, mostly on his sheer will and his talent and his determination and his dedication, that he was able to overcome odds and even make that competitive, let alone be considered by at least 50% of the people who saw that fight to be the actual winner. Now, whether you think he deserved the W in the decision, or you think that Fury deserved the decision victory that he got, that's up for debate. I know that the CompuBox numbers show Tyson Fury with a slight edge in actual punches landed. If you look at the damage, you see that Tyson Fury has a black eye, and he's got like an abrasion on his forehead, so he looks the worse for wear. You can't really see any damage inflicted on the part of Francis Ngannou's face. Nothing that is standing out. And, he took a lot of Tyson Fury's punches and shots very well. He even took that illegal elbow very well. Now, we know that that's a tactic that's been used in boxing in the past. It's illegal, it's frowned upon, but even Francis Ngannou's famous and beloved trainer, Mike Tyson, used to use elbows inside, when he was fighting inside, throwing uppercuts and hooks. It's a dirty tactic, and it's part of boxing, and but it was blatant, and we all know that it was coming out of the frustration of Tyson Fury not being able to have his way with the vastly inexperienced, at least in the boxing ring, Francis Ngannou. Now, some people may look at this as proof that any MMA fighter can cross over to the boxing world and have similar success. Now, I think, like I said again, it takes an exceptional athlete, an exceptional human being, an exceptional fighter to be able to do what Francis Ngannou did. And it's more a testament to who he is and what he's about and his skills and abilities than it is some sort of mythical MMA versus boxing as a sport debate. I mean, there's room to enjoy both sports. Let's talk about the decision. Now, I personally, when they had one judge giving it to Francis and another giving it to Tyson, I thought that third judge was going to call it a draw, and I thought we were going to have a split decision draw. I would have been fine with that. But instead, we have the controversy. You have some people, saying, like, as I said before, that they think Francis was robbed. I don't know if robbery is quite the realistic term. I think some of this is being addressed with an emotional reaction. I'm a big fan of Francis Ngannou. I've been a fan of his since at least when he almost uppercutted Alistair Overeem's head off of his body. At least that far back, if not further back. What's not to like about him? And Tyson Fury has kind of grown on me as a fighter over the years. I wasn't initially a fan of his, but I think he's got a larger than life personality, and I think he goes in there and he takes care of business. So whether you think Francis deserved the win or not, whether you think Tyson Fury did what he was supposed to do from a boxing standpoint and outboxed him and eked out a narrow decision victory because he actually outlanded and outscored Francis Ngannou. Either way, I don't think you're wrong. I think, like I said, personally, I wouldn't have been upset with the draw. I know that either way, Ngannou comes out looking better, and Fury comes out looking worse, and that was it from the beginning. Fury had everything to lose. But even with this, even with winning a controversial decision, people are starting to say, oh, well, he wasn't as good as I thought he was, or he wasn't as good as the hype made it be, and maybe it was just him fighting Wilder that made him look good, as though he wasn't undefeated before that and isn't undefeated since. Like, it's all recency bias, it's all emotional reaction. He himself says he didn't take the fight lightly. He says he had a training camp, and he just said that Ngannou was awkward and strong, and he didn't know what to do. So the knockdown looked good. Ngannou definitely looked like he was landing and inflicting more damage, but according to the numbers, he landed less punches. And let's be honest, he needed to capitalize on hurting Tyson Fury. He needed to batter him and beat him and prove that he was actually better. I think after he scored that knockdown, he got a little bit happy and started just searching for the knockout instead of trying to set it up. He wasn't as active as I would have liked to have seen him be in order to actually, without a doubt, take that fight. There was no title on the line, so even if Tyson had officially lost that fight, he wouldn't have lost his WBC strap. And for Francis Ngannou, he's now ranked in the top 10 by the WBC. So that means that within a few fights, he could legitimately have a shot at that belt, whoever happens to be holding it, if and when that time comes. You know, I think if he's going to be top 10, he's going to have to fight two or three other guys in the top 10, defeat them, and then take on the champ. Um, and that's only in the WBC. There's no other sanctioning body that has him ranked. So, congratulations to Francis Ngannou. He did better than most people thought he would do. He proved that he is an exceptional, outstanding combat sport athlete, and that he's got a very strong will and determination and to achieve and accomplish whatever he sets his mind to. And congratulations to Tyson Fury for escaping, with his perfect record still intact, although in question by many people, and for doing what nobody else seemed willing to do, doing what nobody else had to do, which was to give such a dangerous fighter like Francis a chance. Tyson Fury did that, and he made a ton of money, and Francis Ngannou made more money in one fight than he had made in, I'm sure, all his previous fights with the UFC. So, you know, he helped to put Francis on in the boxing game. And Francis took that opportunity and made the absolute most out of it, and now is seen as potentially a legitimate threat in heavyweight boxing should he decide to, spend his, next few years trying to pursue a championship there. So I'm no expert. I just call it how I see it. And I see it that amidst the controversy and, the spectacle and all of that, it lived up to the hype in one way or another. And, you know, maybe somewhere down the line we'll see a rematch. Maybe there'll be a title on the line. Now what's next for Fury is he's got to fight Usyk. It's just a matter of when. And maybe Francis's next fight will be with his new MMA organization, PFL, or maybe he'll be trying to fight another top 10 ranked heavyweight in boxing within the next couple months. Like I said, I'm no expert. I just call it how I see it. And what I see was that it was a win-win for Francis, and Fury kind of has to do a little bit of reputation damage control going forward. But either way, they're both great sportsmen. They're both tough, and they both prove that they're willing to get in there and put their money where their mouth is. So until next time, UNO.